Hi guys and gals, it's Pete, Mindwiseman's channel, aka Maverick Outdoors, and I'm sitting here in the middle of the Thames, which was at 12:30 at night, but because the clocks have gone forward, it's now 1:30 in the morning, and I'm on my way to one of the islands, one of the first ones I went to in this area. And that was just the moon up there. I'll just see if you can see it again, just going through the trees. It's well, it was the 30th, Saturday the 30th of March, but the clocks have gone forward. So what was 12:30 at night is now 1:30 in the morning, and I'm actually on the old dark on the Thames, on the way to an island. So it's a 3/4 moon on its way out though, so it's gone to a full moon a few days back, and now it's sort of returning to a 3/4, and then soon to be half, and then a quarter, and it will start the cycle again. The place I normally put in is near a weir, and the water was actually gushing, really sort of quite, I would say, sort of near enough up to what you think of as a level 3 rapid. So I couldn't put in there, so I had to have a sort of bit of a half a mile trek, and lucky enough I brought the trolley with me, which I'll explain a little bit more about in the daylight, because I really need to get a move on now. And see the water down there, me paddle. And the sky is absolutely clear, not a cloud in the sky at all. And I had to put in further along the river, so I had to make 2 treks. The canoe on the trolley with the paddles and some kit, then I had to walk back to the car and then get a car shirt and my rucksack. But I'll explain more about that and show you some of the stuff that I've brought and where I'm actually going to go to camp in a little while. But the water's drifting me at the moment, so I'm going to get a paddle on. I've got about another mile or so to go, so I need to sort of get this light out of my face, because otherwise it's going to take me about 20 minutes to adjust to navigating in the dark again. So if I don't catch you when I pitch up and make something to eat, then I'll try and sort something out and film in the dark, the setup. Anyway, I've got to get a move on. There you can see the moon reflecting on the water. I've just landed on the western edge of this island. As it's quite cold now, I mean there's no chill breeze, there's sort of a real coolness in the air, but you can see here, hear the crunching, where the water, you can see, that's further away from the paddling, so of course where you get the drips off the paddle, which is nearer to where I was seated on that chair, obviously the paddle's nearer, and then you can see it's frozen. So it's going to be a chilly night, but looks like, gosh, have you found yourself a stick? Have you? You found yourself a stick? But she's thinking, oh God, come on, we're normally a kit by this time in the morning. It's now 2 o'clock in the morning. It would have been 1 o'clock if the clocks hadn't gone forward. So I'm going to set up the basher now, get the tarp sorted, and make myself something to eat. Okay people, I've got the basher set up. Going to get the old hexagon stove going. And what I've got here in that bag, just there, brightly coloured, is some prepped but uncooked sweet red pepper, diced up carrot, diced up onions, which was all chopped up and put in the fridge before I left. And then in that tin foil just there is some corned beef, and then the base carbohydrates is a microwavable bag of mushroom basmati rice. So what I do is I'll cook up the raw vegetables first, the pepper, carrot and onion. It's been really lively on the water tonight. I must have seen since recceing the waters to put in the canoe, considering I couldn't put in at the normal place. So when I walked down on the riverbank, as soon as I got down there about 11 o'clock, something like 11 p.m, saw a floating light on the water, which obviously was a headlight torch of a canoeist. But there's a lot of K2s today, or should I say tonight, K2s, double person kayaks. But since I've pitched up the tarp, I'd say there's at least half a dozen that have gone by. Yeah, at least half a dozen to about 10 that have actually gone by, paddling from, well, since 11 o'clock when I first went to recce where to put in the canoe and see if it was safe enough, and then to this particular time now, which is coming up to about 2:30 in the morning. Actually no, it must be coming to 3:30 because I haven't adjusted my watch yet, so it's well gone 3 o'clock, 3 a.m, and just sort of a few minutes ago there was some canoeists. So if I'm going to make something to eat, I'm most sure there'll be some more canoeists and kayakers coming by. But yeah, I would say there's about 20 people, 20 separate canoes and kayaks that have gone by tonight. So yeah, all good, really good. I'm not the only nutter that's come out to paddle on the waters. Anyway, back to the food. Oh yeah, and in that little box with the blue sealer rim within the lid is some dried fried onions, which I've got in a tub. So I thought I'll bring a handful of those with me and add with some food that I'm going to cook over the next 2 nights. And a pinch or 2 of funky spice. Bit of funky spice. And some fried onions. And a bit of a savoury crunch. Late night eating at 3:30 in the morning. Oh yeah, bring it on, yummy. Right, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to go to sleep now. Get a few hours kip and see what the bright day is going to bring us. It's now Sunday morning at 5 a.m, so I've got my softies on. Karsh is all ready to get underneath this sleeping bag. So I'm going to crash out for a few hours and I'll catch up with you in a little while. Okay, it's now about 11 AM on Sunday, the 31st of March 2013, and so I got a bit of extra shut eye. The breeze kicked up a little bit, as you can see. The old Tarp is just flowing about a little bit in rhythm to the pulse of the breeze. It's actually coming through the apex end. Nothing too breezy really, it's just a chill factor. There's definitely more of a freshness in the air than what there was yesterday. I know I could totally reconfigure the tarp, so you know, part of it is a lean-to or diagonally down part of it against the breeze, but it means I've got to reconfigure all the fixings, which I don't actually want to do. If it was absolute sort of gale force breezes, then obviously I would. Yeah, I totally agree with what they're saying. It's life on the river for you. Okay, just a quick spec on my sleep kit, or my method of sleeping. I know if I don't include it I'll get questions on it, so just to verify, the old Brit Army mat, 3-season sleeping bag, really simple one. You'll have seen this bag featured a few wild camps before. Bit of kit there, and then the inflatable pillow, give us a little bit of backrest and headrest. Softies over my day clothes, and I think I'll actually keep them on for a little while. You see the sun's cascading up there, which isn't too bad, but there's some cloud coming over. The wind's actually changed direction. It was sort of coming along sort of this way, but now it's actually coming across a little bit that way. So if it kicks up any worse, what I'll do is I'll brace the canoe and bring it along this lower side. And I've given an example of how I've used that actually on another island wild camp. But anyway, I need to get some food down my throat. Okay, just to update you on the spec of the food I've got. A couple of cartons of fruit juice, biscuits, a couple of eggs there, which I will have with 2 bread rolls are in there. There's 4 bread rolls in here, 1 each for the 2 eggs, so that's 2, and then I'm going to have another 2 with this tin of all-day breakfast. I'm just about ready to open up with my little small can opener. You've seen me demonstrate undoing a tin with a hat in a previous vid, wild camping. But back to the food. Tin of spaghetti with pepperoni in it. And then this meal I'm going to do as one. It's vegetable soup. And I've got these, a special deal on these. I think it was 3 for like £1.20, something like that. Seared tuna steaks, long life. Don't have to refrigerate them or anything, got a shelf life, still got until October this year. I bought them late summer last year, so there was well over 12 months shelf life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up some of that in that, so it's like a fish vegetable soup. Tea bags and sugar in that box, powdered milk there, carrot focaccia, T-R-E-A-T, a making the mug soup. There's the old fried dried onions there, some coffee, say biscuit bars there. So I'm going to have the tin breakfast now. I'm going to heat that up and have that with 2 rolls, and then later on I'll either have the pasta with pepperoni or the tinned vegetable soup with the tuna fillets. And then in the morning, tomorrow morning, I'll have the 2 eggs with the bread rolls. So anyway, I'm going to get some food down my throat now, so I'm going to get this on the go. What is a good idea, see that bit there, that's a bit of sausage, and they're about as, I don't know, about as long as your finger. So if you cut them, sort of cross section cut them as I've done there, into smaller pieces, they just heat up quicker. There's a little mini Scotch egg that's in this recipe of this all-day breakfast. So I've just cut those in half. So basically they'll just, it'll all heat up a bit quicker. Plus as well, less fuel. And a couple of bread rolls. As I always say, yummy. Oh yeah, we decided to place a few little sticks on there. Just have a little twig fire going on once a couple of the blocks finish burning. Start with a hexamen block and then put a few sticks, fed it through that little side hole. Ready to make a brew. Okay people, it's about 4:30 PM Sunday afternoon, and cloud cover. As you can see, it's quite overcast, but lucky enough there's been no rain. There isn't any prospected rain in this part of southern UK, considering that this is the coldest March, end of March, beginning of April on record for the past 50 years. So it's expected to be about -2 tonight at its coldest, and if there's a wind chill factor that kicks in, then I reckon it's going to double that to sub-0 even further, maybe to sort of -4, -5 I would think. So I'm thinking of procuring some of this dead wood. Some of that's a little bit live, but all this stuff here, that's all dead. Stacks of it over there like kindling, first stage wood, coming up to second stage. Break some of that off as well, because I'm considering actually digging a fire pit somewhere down here. I'm going to go walk about now and see if I can find anything in the woods that can act as a screen. I did find a massive, great big bit of white formica sort of laminated plywood here 2 years ago, and I had it just there. See on one of the first videos I did, and if you watch that one, you'll see the effect that gave. It was a really brilliant reflector, but that old breeze is kicking up now, so I'm going to go and have a walk about and see if I can find anything that's going to act as a screen. I'm going to try and prep some wood and dig a pit where Akasha is. Hello doggy! Alright dog, getting cold, isn't it? Now that is one heck of a widow maker. You wouldn't want to be using that for any of your fixings, for any shelters or anything else. Nice, readily in position, firewood. It's all nice and dry. See, some of it is actually rotten as well, but you can tell sort of the weight of it, that it's not actually sodden with water. I'm not saying that as a scientific fact, that's from my experience, what I personally think, because I can tell by the way that this is sort of levering here, just the general weight as it bounces, considering the majority of the wood is, well, it's all dead. It's not totally sort of rotten and gone soft, but if it was soaking with water, soaking wet, and not very good as a fuel for fire, I think it would be much heavier. So I must really come back for some of that. Okay, just got back from my little search and I couldn't really find anything. The island's quite barren actually. Where it normally this time of year all the vegetation starts to come through. Even the trees aren't bursting forth with their sort of green shoots and buds and everything. Everything just seems really barren, you know, and we're now starting the beginning of April tomorrow in the UK, bank holiday Monday, and as I say, this is the coldest we've had for this time of year in just over 50 years. So yeah, it's certainly affecting, you know, when you're used to being outdoors and you notice the seasons, you know, give or take a few weeks, there might be a slight difference each year, but yeah, it's really made a difference, especially this year with this cold spell. Say nothing's growing around here, but luckily enough, to say the deadwood. I've mentioned about white willow before. White willow grows, its main habitat is around waterways, the majority of its growth, so rivers, streams, that sort of thing. But it's classified as not a very good firewood. You know, it's supposed to spit, and you know, as far as willow, the top of the list, or even halfway down the list, is considered not a good wood. But you know, there's loads of it around when you're canoeing on the rivers and what have you. You know, if white willow's there, and I've never really had any problems with it. You know, I've found it's for me, I find it's a sort of a medium burner. It's not as solid as maybe oak or you know, slow burning or something like oak, but it certainly is better than nothing. I find it sort of an average burner really, and once it rots and then dries off, even if it does get soaking wet, it dries out easily in comparison to maybe other type of denser woods. So you know, it's got its pros and cons, but I find it's alright. So I mean, that's the majority of wood I'm going to be procuring, but this is what I found on my travels. A broken garden seat. You can see it here, that's where it's broken, and I ripped this, I cut this off of another chair because it was all flapping about. Now of course that's mesh, but I'm just going to see if I don't have time to actually build a reflector with sort of uprights of wood and then cross members going across, then I might try and utilise that, or at least have this as the frame and just try and lean sort of uprights against it, thick bits of wood. But the main aspect is not for me to procure stuff and make the reflector and windshield so I get the heat coming this way, but it's basically digging a fire pit, procuring the wood, making sure I've got the wood, at least starting the fire, and then I'm going to take it from there. So I'm going to get a move on now. You sneezing dog. That's from chewing bits of wood and getting them up your nostrils. So I'm going to crack on and try and get a little bit of Basher central heating ready and on the go. Yeah, silly old dog. Oh, silly old dog. You want some warmth as well, don't you, eh? Okay, so I've procured some of the wood. Just started to dig just a perimeter here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bank all that soil up to make a reflector, but it might actually just give me a sort of a footing and a basis to sort of dig some other stuff into, maybe create some sort of reflector here. But just sharing the sun, that's the main thing. Breeze has calmed down a little bit, the chill factor's reduced, but the clouds clearing a little bit, so I think it's going to be another clear night tonight, but I think the temperature's going to drop, so it'll be handy to have this little fire going. But it's really nice just having this past 15-20 minutes of the sun, just warming your cockles of your heart. One fire pit and a windbreaker reflector. So this was one of the bits of metal that was still in it that obviously fixed into the framework of the chair itself. So I pressed the other end. I didn't have to straighten it, I mean it's curved on the other end. I pushed that in, made a stick, put that through this sort of hemmed in tube, which obviously must have been the corner of where I suppose you sit there and the backrest is there. So I just whittled down a stick, inserted that through that piece of material, so that's quite sturdy. And then on this bit, made 3 slits, one there, one there, one there, whittled down the stick a bit, fed it through, dug it in, and voila. When the breeze does kick up a little bit, it comes behind me, so of course I was going to maybe put the fire just there, so that any heat could actually travel along the length of the tarp. But then if it smoked up, then of course I'm going to get smoked out underneath the tarp. So I thought if the breeze is actually going this way a little bit, whatever heat is here, I can sit on my tripod seat, easy access to the wood, get some more if I need it, and then the fire's not going to be too close. I mean, I'm going to have the flames, if anything, not higher really than the maybe halfway up the reflector there. But the wind is actually, I've actually taken it off centre because it's not long enough to go all the way around to sort of there. Because the breeze is sort of kicking up this way a little bit, I thought, well, I want it to reflect the heat into me this way, into me, but also I don't want the flames to blow that direction. So I thought if I just tweak it a bit, I've got as much reflector as possible from that piece of material, and plus as well not too much of a breeze, actually burning fuel quicker and also maybe blowing the heat sort of that direction. So reasonably it's sort of going to come diagonally to me, and then of course when I fall asleep, if it's still going, there's Kashi, you're asleep Kashi, you have a little kip. She's obviously where I'm going to be later. Any heat that's left will sort of come diagonally across because my body will be central to the centre of the wind guard cum reflector. I mean, it's not 5-star heating, but you know, it's better than nothing. And if the wind kicks up again coming to me this direction, then what I'll do is I think I'll angle the tarp right down and reconfigure it so the breeze will go over the top. That's if it does tunnel through, but I might actually lower the apex like I normally do, and it might be just enough for the breeze to go over the top rather than actually channel it through where I'm lying down. So let's pyro some of that wood in that pit and get the fire going. I just remembered, lost an hour last night, my old body clock was thrown a little bit, but of course now we've got that extra hour, so it's coming up to 6:20 now, 6:20 p.m. aircraft somewhere above them clouds, and so I've got an extra hour's daylight. So instead of it getting dusky and dark between about 7 o'clock to 7:30, it's going to get dusky dark from 8 o'clock to 8:30. So bring on the summertime. Yeah, right, -2 degrees at night and falling. Well, that'll perk us up a little bit later. Okay, so I've got the fire going. As you can see, I rearranged the piece of material actually against the direction of the wind, because when it was in position in its original place, the flames were sort of blowing over that way. So hence bringing it to block the breeze, which is the majority of the time is coming this way. You can see the flames are still quite active because of course the breeze is getting a bit of a sort of circular current to then draw the smoke off, but it's not actually blowing the heat that direction. It's obviously giving it a lot of life in the flames, so I can actually feel the warmth, and I reckon I'll be able to feel it even more, as you can see on that bit of earth, that little bit of earth bank there which was dug out the hole, the fire pit. I put a piece of dead wood which raises the reflector. Now I've got the fire going, and I now know what the vent and the wind air direction is like, and I might take this up another couple of levels, but leaning back a little bit, and then just have 2 uprights here. So instead of having lots of pieces of wood, I can maybe just have sort of 2 or 3 thick bits. But I can feel the warmth under the tarp. Obviously it's not scorching hot, but plus as well it's not too near to maybe damage the tarp, because obviously the tarp being synthetic, but I think it's just far enough away, and provided I don't make the fire too big, it's going to be fine. So it'll defo serve the purpose of keeping me warm while I'm awake this evening when the temperatures drop to prospected anything from -1 to 2, and I say with that breeze it's going to make it -3 to 4 at least, so I can just feel that. It's a nice just gentle warmth, makes all the difference. I wasn't expecting maybe to do a fire, but it's made all the difference. Okay, so I'm getting a bit of a heat at 11 o'clock at night, so it's doing the job. Lower the tarp a little bit to cut the breeze off from channeling into my bivvy space. So yeah, it was all good. Bit of bash of central heating. And the next thing I'll see you in the morning. It's now Monday morning. As you can see, I'm well togged up. I'm actually zipped up inside the sleeping bag from last night. Normally I unzip it right down to the end and put the sort of the triangular apex point, centre point over my boots, and then drape the sleeping bag over the top of me, and then Karsha, the dog, can get underneath and sort of move around as she wants. So she's somewhere down there between my moving boots. Usually I'll drape the sleeping bag over me, just for convenience. You can get in and out of it easier, plus as well, the dog can as well. But last night I just noticed a few little cold spots along either down the side of my leg. It's no real biggie, it's just where the sleeping bag drapes over the either side of you, either side of where you're lying on the insulating mat. There can be pockets of cold air just above the ground and underneath the actual sleeping bag itself. So of course that little bit of pocket of cold air, you can feel it either down your leg or near your back or your shoulder or something. So I thought, well, I'll zip it up, and as you can see, it got quite windy. And as you can see, there's a bit of a breeze, so I lowered that end of the tarp, which then allowed the sort of whatever breeze which is coming that direction to go over the top, which in turn enabled me to get the majority of the warmth that I wanted to get from the fire pit sort of coming over literally towards me this direction. So any warmth that did come over also got trapped under the tarp and brought the thermals into me here, the warmth, so that was good. Did a bit of reconfiguring of the basher. I decided to replace where the paddle was here with the 6-section pole, and I used 5 parts and then just guide it down to there, paracorded it, and then just brought this down a little bit lower. Once I settled for the night, it kept the majority of the breeze off me, so that was alright. Kept the fire pit going till about 1 o'clock in the morning, so for about the last sort of hour and a half to 2 hours, once I'd sort of finished eating and settled for the night, I was able to sort of crash out, lower the tarp, and then just get up now and then just to feed the logs in. So yeah, that was okay until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Considering the fire pit was only going to be used the once to heat up my meal last night and then just have some warmth and light from the fire, a bit of comfort and warmth. But if I was going to be here for longer, then I'd have done the done thing. Where the piece of material is, that upright just there and the upright just here, I'd have had them leaning back, and I'd have had sort of bars of wood going across just like there. Now that's really, really crude, but it did the job considering it was just a one-off use of the fire pit last night. But if I was going to be here for longer... Oh, dog's disturbing.
Hello, doggy.
Hello. You're cosy and comfy in there, are you? Yes, I think you were, weren't you? You stay in there, you stay in there. That's it, you stay in there warm. As I sort of briefly explained when I was actually constructing the fire pit last night, you know, if I was going to be here for longer, I'd have actually done the done thing. I would have invested time. Once I knew where the breeze was coming, you know, sort of put some uprights and then horizontal logs going across to about so high, and then it would have been the sort of a proper bushcrafty type of reflector. But I didn't want to invest time in cutting bits to size and all that sort of thing, so I thought, right, use the mud as a little bit of a bank to place the logs on. If I'd have wanted to, I could have even made a mortar out of the soil that was dug out of the pit, mixed it with some water and sort of blocked in and actually cemented in some of the logs, you know, if I really wanted it as a long-term job. I just wanted to see what I could procure here on the island and just do a temporary job that did the job without getting too technical about it. So I know there's loads of different ways that I could have done it, but that did the job for me, just the one-off fire pit last night. I Okay, so it's quite overcast. Last night there was just a slight little bit of rain for about 2-3 minutes. But considering it's overcast, hopefully it's not going to rain. There's not actually been any prospected rain for today either, although it's supposed to be a bit of a clearer sky. Hopefully it will clear up a little bit later. But the only thing that concerns me, if there's been any heavy downpours of rain, sort of anywhere from where I am on the Thames, it can be anything from 20 miles radius and more. The water table changes because we've had a lot of dampness in southern well, all over the UK, sort of snowing when it wasn't expected. Then of course that's thawed. We haven't had really much warm weather since the beginning of the year, and it's now sort of the 1st of April 2013. So any water that doesn't drain away in the ground, it sort of stays settled there, and it doesn't move. But then when you get another downpour of rain or more snow that melts, it then moves it off the surface because it can't drain, and guess where it comes? Point of least resistance, anywhere where there's water already. And I'm looking upstream, so of course the current is coming towards me, and now I've got to go up against it. So hopefully it won't be any different from what it was like on Saturday night when I set out. But if it does start to rain, then it could start to create more of a downstream current, because I'm going to be going upstream against it. So it just means that I'm going to have to look for points by looking at where the breeze is blowing over the surface of the water, plus well the eddies or the internal corners. So if you imagine where the river sort of bends round like that, if you take the inner corner, the water's sort of flowing and then curves round, so I don't want to go wide. So just little techniques for the just over 2 mile paddle back with the least resistance on the water flow. Right, I'm going to delve into my magic box now and make something to eat. And this time I've got the bread rolls with some squirty sauce, which is in there. But what I did, you can see it's sort of red and brown, so I've got some HP sauce and tomato sauce all in the same bottle, squidged it, it's got a marbly effect. Answer to some of the comments, no, you've got to have egg banjos with HP sauce, brown sauce. There, we've got it. And the eggs coming on. Just swirl the old fat around. Sunflower oil. Use the bigger blocks, one of those ones. So that one's ready to do a brew in a mo. So there's quite a bit of flame there. So I should be able to get a bit left over to start brewing, and then add that on and just have a little bit of warmth to heat my hands up. Okay, it's coming up to about 2:30 in the afternoon. LNT, leave no trace. Canoe packed up. All was food and cooking utensils and what have you. Sleep kit, softy trousers, sleeping bag, all the shelter kit in there, and trolley and other bits and pieces to do with the canoe. The sky's cleared, as you can see. It's not too bad, we've had no rain, but there's a real chill factor in the air that's kicking up, and I think I'm going to get a crosswind coming across that way. So considering the temps are sort of going to meander about, I'm going to hit resistance paddling back. So yeah, it's quite chilly. My hands are getting cold, so I've got the old gloves ready. Right, so we're off upstream. Bit of resistance into the breeze, and as always, thanks for watching. Really appreciate your interest in this 2-nighter on the riverbank of the island and the midnight paddle to get here. So be out there, be safe, take care, thanks a lot, cheers.